Today we have Scott Proposki with us. He's an author, a business owner, and his message of focus is inspiring and much needed in a time that we're living in today. I am excited for you to hear from Scott. Welcome to the Morning Mindset. Right. Hey everyone, welcome back. We have Scott Proposki with us today. Scott, how are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal.
Phenomenal. I love it. Scott, tell me something good. Why is today phenomenal?
Well, today's phenomenal because many different reasons, but why I use the word phenomenal is I have a word of the year.
Okay.
And the word of the year today, to me, is phenomenal.
I love that.
And I'm sticking to it. It's my word of the year. My word of the year last year was 10 times. Like, I want to grow the company 10 times.
Yeah.
So I almost overused it, and that's all I was using is the word 10 times.
Yeah.
So right now, I use the word phenomenal.
That's awesome. I love that word, Scott. And I use the word phenomenal quite a bit. So that I love that word. What caused you to choose the word phenomenal?
Well, it goes back to many years ago. I was in the photography, audiovisual world.
Yeah.
And I got to be the AV person for a motivation speaker.
Okay.
And I was 19 years old at the time.
Okay.
I'm 50 today, just for the record.
Okay. Yay, you're young.
I got 70 more years. Okay?
Let's go.
We'll talk about
Come on.
that later on. But,
yep.
When I was 19 years old, I got to listen to this motivation speaker, Richard Tossi. And I listened to his motivation presentations over 200 times.
Wow.
And it changed my way of thinking, many, many years ago. And listened over and over again. I could have done the presentation myself, I think. And he would tell a story about being in an elevator and people like, hey, how are you? And people would say, okay, I'm good, whatever. Yeah. And he would say, how are you? He goes, phenomenal. The reactions that people have when you say you're phenomenal, people take notice and like, really? Why?
Yeah.
What? And that's the purpose, right? Is to have people take notice that you are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I want to make a difference in my words, and words matter.
Yeah.
So that's my learning lesson from years ago.
Yeah.
That just stuck with me.
Wow. That's incredible. I love that, and I think you're spot on. Because I think sometimes when we hear, we're hearing mindset, right? When someone says they're phenomenal, I believe that is part of a mindset that we're actually hearing them say, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But Scott, give us a little bit of tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Scott Proposki?
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version.
Okay,
right? Who is Scott Proposki, right?
Yeah.
And Scott is the regular entrepreneur, just trying to think bigger, look at life differently, and grow your business. And I was always hyper focused, and I had one little thing that got me to focus. Yeah. And it was a camera growing up.
Wow.
And my dad gave me a camera. My dad was a photographer. My dad is my mentor. I talk about him in my book, Camera Focus.
Yeah.
And the camera got me focused so much that it was a business for me to be a photographer. But I could see through the lens, and I wanted to. How far can I go with this? Yeah. And I ended up working for Time Inc. and Sports Illustrated.
Wow.
And HBO for Games of Thrones for many years. The Harry Potter premiere in New York City. The White House for President Obama.
Wow.
And the camera got me to focus on what I could do. And there was no limits. Yeah. And somebody with ADHD like myself needs that tool to focus on to do exponential growth, to grow 10 times, and to limit the distractions in the world. Yeah. And everybody has that tool. And it's my job as I move into a trainer, a coach, to help people find that one thing. And for me, it was a camera that I could build a photography company massively. And it wasn't it became not about the camera anymore. It became a mindset of thinking further into the future of who you could work with. And the camera was just a tool that didn't make money. It was the mindset to figure out who are our avatars, who are our customers, who can I help? That doesn't matter what business you're in.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, I love that. So, Scott, talk to me a little bit more then. So, at what age did you really start your passion career in photography?
I think I wrote, and I might misquote my own quote in my own book.
Yeah.
But I believe I said when my dad first saw me being born in the hospital, he saw a camera in my hands.
Wow.
At the hospital. So very early age. And my dad was a photographer, and I latched on to the camera at a very early age.
Wow.
And it just, you know what the interesting part is when you look at artists, singers and artists and pop artists, and pick one, anyone, and look into their history, you'll find that those people started to sing at a very early age, 2 or 3 years old, right? And it became their passion. And I had the opportunity to work with Miley Cyrus, Billy Ray Cyrus. I did her family portraits for Billy Ray and Miley Cyrus. And the words from Billy Ray at the time, I didn't realize until I wrote my book, he was so confident that Miley was going to be successful.
Yeah.
And this was years ago. She was only 7 years old when I was doing her photos. But his words mattered, and it became real because they were so focused and so convincing that this is what was going to happen. And they did. And it was. If you're a fan or not, it doesn't matter. But most people at a very early age had that one thing. And everybody has it. And some people figure it out sooner than others, and some people don't, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we all have it. We all have that one thing.
Yeah. So you just said something that I want to touch on. You said words matter and they become real. Man, I love that because I truly believe that, and you and I talked yesterday, that what we focus on expands. And your message is one of focus and helping people focus. How have you seen this, you just said you saw it, words matter. He said Miley's going to be a phenomenal singer. How is that in regards to your industry with camera and focus and photography? How do you feel like that propelled you in your career and helped you get the opportunities that you've had?
It started off years ago where, this book's out about vivid vision and having a vivid vision.
Yeah.
And it was years ago when I was in a coaching program, strategic coach, that trained me to take a piece of paper out, just a regular piece of paper out, and grab your favorite pen.
Yeah.
And as a writer, everybody has a favorite pen.
Oh, trust me.
And write in words 3 years from today as it already happened.
Wow.
Today is, 2023 of April. I have this much business I'm doing. I'm working with these top 10 clients. I have 32, whatever the case may be. I just purchased my first home with the white picket fence and the perfect green grass that I always dreamed about, right? And it's so vivid, it's so much in detail of as if it already happened.
Yeah.
And it's been proven that people that do that 3 years from today, they take out that list, they've done almost 80% of what's on that list with not ever looking at it ever again. And you've trained your mind by writing with your hands, and your mind will focus on how to get to that point because you actually believe it because you wrote it as if it was real.
Yeah. So then is that an exercise that you believe once you had this hyper-focused, very vivid vision, it really propelled you forward in your career?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the first person you need to sell is yourself.
Oh, come on. Yep.
That's the number one person. If you're listening to this right now, and you're pivoting, and you're thinking about selling something or doing this, you need to sell yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Scott, obviously right now, and you and I talked a little bit about this, I'd love for you to get into it, but right now, COVID-19, our life has been flipped upside down. A lot of our careers look completely different. We're working from home. We're pivoting in all different directions. How important is this vivid vision in a time that we're living in today?
Critical. If you're home watching Netflix, sitting on the couch, thinking, poor me, why me, what's going to happen, that's probably going to be you 3 years from today.
Wow.
If you are right now listening to this podcast, you are one of the people that are going to succeed, because you're listening to this because you're looking and seeking out information that you want to do something bigger and better.
Yep.
And those are the people that are going to do really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And you and I have talked a lot about just this season, right? And that we kind of hit the reset button. So go into that a little bit, Scott. Just your, how are you pivoting and moving forward with a very clear, vivid vision in this season?
Yeah, I mean, people that have, the people that can think forward into the future, right? And a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners are always a year ahead of themselves, right? They're always thinking of the next thing, regardless of what's going on, right? So for us to, sorry for the delay there. Talk about focus. I'm actually doing this podcast in my car, and like the police drove by because they're probably wondering why I'm sitting in the parking lot. And at that moment in time, I just lost focus.
No worries.
So it is a great example of having focus, right?
Yeah,
what keeps
absolutely.
You focused, right? So it's just a perfect example.
Yeah.
So right now we're in a time where I call it the reset switch, right? And we are all now, it's an even playing field.
Yeah.
If you want to get into, coaching, for example, or speaking, being a great speaker, and, I'll never get into it. There's a 2-year waiting list, and there's other people that are ahead of me. No way. It's a reset switch, because the conversations are different. People want to listen to different content. Yeah. And it's go time, and you have a better opportunity, an increase in opportunity than highly acclaimed speaker has. Yeah. You're on the same even playing field as them, right?
Absolutely.
Because we're kind of all at zero. Not physically, right? But on where we go in our mindset, what to do. Yeah. And it's the reset switch, and we will look back in time, and many people will say, gosh, this was the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah. Now, granted, there's a lot of, really, the people, going through some really challenging times, and, human lives are being lost. Yeah. But the past is the past. We have to see the future as unlimited as human beings, right? So we have to live in a positive mindset that we are living in the future. And I do have an unlimited future in what I can do. And that's what we need to be focused on.
Yeah. Wow. So I'd love to touch a little bit more on that with specifically, how have you ever gone through a time, Scott, where you found yourself maybe in a similar season like we're in now, where you kind of had to hit either the reset switch or refocus or revisit your vivid vision, and I call it in my personal story the make it or break it point of okay, I have one of two choices. One, I can quit, give up, I'm not created for this. Or two, I can realize that growth comes with challenges and obstacles, and this is only going to help me come out of this better. Tell me about a time in your life where you experienced that, if you would.
Yeah, I think, believe it or not, I feel like most entrepreneurs and small businesses have all done that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They might not have realized it, but we're entrepreneurs and we grow and some things work and you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And you look at top CEOs today. The people that that maybe you're idol, and look them up and look them up on LinkedIn, and you'll notice they have multiple different careers that they've gone through. Yeah. CEO of this, CEO of that, founder of this, and here they are now.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself. They've gone through different changes.
Yeah.
And they've done it in their own world. We're just all going through it together as the world. Yeah. Right? So that's the difference. Yep. We're all doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
But we all had to do it. And I've done it in my past where I've done something and I've noticed that this isn't the right time, or I missed that opportunity, or I don't see the growth on it, and time invested in this is I need to be a smart business person to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And smart people do that. And that's okay. It's not failure, because what happens is you'll start business, you'll do it. Smart people figure it out that this isn't, maybe it's not making the money that you wanted to make and it's not going in the right direction. And the next venture that you do will take you half the amount of time than the first one. Yeah. And when you go to the third and the fourth, it'll just get easier and faster, and you'll build it faster and better every time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I 100% agree with you. And I think it's a good message for people to hear, because I think oftentimes we experience what we maybe see at the time, in that time, as failure, right? Things didn't work out. But that's an opportunity for us to realize, okay, this is a learning process, right? And so for you in your career, how have you seen that happen, in your career, I guess, is when was a time that you had to do that? And maybe it's now. And if so, talk to me a little bit about how you're pivoting, how you're regaining focus and moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the average, entrepreneur trying to figure out what's next. And when this all happened, early on in, February and March, I kind of had a foresight that possibly this could be even a little bit more intense than what people are saying.
Yeah.
And I was already thinking in my mind, what's next? And I own a few photography companies, one called Photos in a Minute, where we actually serve our direct clients are the NHL, the NFL, the New England Patriots, the Boston Celtics, and they're paused, right? They're not playing basketball. Yeah. We don't have the Celtics. We had the NFL, the NHL, with the Winterfest, and they're done for the season. So we provide high volume, high quality photography for large venues. Well, let's be real, that's going to take some time to build up, right? Yeah. And so a phenomenal company that we have a great market share, but is completely on pause. Mm-hmm. So I have to pivot and do the things that I know what I can do best, right? Yeah. So I sat down and said, well, what are the things that I like to do that I want to do, right? And what I was great about with Photos in a Minute was the marketing and the sales and the vision. Mm-hmm. And that's what grew that company. And I said, you know what? There's a reason why I wrote a book last April called Camera Focused. Mm-hmm. And it was like, wow, the whole entire globe is dependent upon their lives on a camera to be focused and try to eliminate distractions in the world so they can focus and have, conduct business. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, gosh, I was saying this a year ago. Yeah. And then I started to think further how I could help other people with what I did. and decided to look into how to grow the business really fast, and found out that focusinAminute.com was available, which lines up with photos in a minute and headshots in a minute and my other brands. And I'm like, for 99 cents in the middle of the night, I went, bing. And, 12 days ago, Focus in a Minute was born, right?
Wow.
And I'm doing what I really wanted to do was to coach and write more books, which I just finished my second book called Be Focused during this time.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is a great opportunity where now I can actually hyper focus on these books in my coaching career and training career, and development of our brand and website's important, and develop Focus in a Minute. Mm-hmm. And that has all been done in the past 12 to 13 days. And we're already landing clients, and I'm pivoting. And people say, well, why are you a business coach when you have such a successful photography business? And it's like, well, I want to help others, right? Yeah. And I no longer was taking photos. I was in the office. I was office focused when you get to a certain point and level of the company. Yeah. So the camera's the tool, right? Yeah. Today, the books are my tools. Yep. And having my second book and third book, even four, I have 3 books planned to launch this year alone. Yeah. And so that's my focus, and using these books as my tool to help other people.
Yeah. So Scott, you mentioned something just a second ago that I love, and it's the idea that the camera is the tool, right? The camera's the tool. And in a season like this, the camera has, at least for a period of time, in a sense, been taken away, right? Things are on pause. I think there's a really important takeaway there. And tell me more about, go a little deeper into that idea that the camera's the tool, because I think sometimes we view our tool as the end all be all. But for you, it's not that. It's the tool. It's just the tool, the vehicle that really helps drive your mission. So go a little deeper into that and the importance of having that mindset.
Yeah, it wasn't until a few years ago that I realized that the camera was only the tool.
Okay.
And any great coach can coach anybody. You could be a real estate broker. You could be an attorney. You could be a New York Times bestseller author, which is one of my newest clients, and which I'm finding incredible that a New York Times bestseller author is like so intrigued with my words to help them focus. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I told him straight out. I mean, it's amazing that we can collaborate like this.
Yeah.
And so. It's about sharing ideas and words to help your team.
Yeah.
Right. And I talk about my book where I don't have employees. Everybody's a team member.
Yeah.
And I'm not the boss. I'm the coach.
Yep.
And again, words matter. And right now, words are going to matter to your customers, to your future customers, the people you want to be customers to, and really focusing on them, right? Yeah. And it's not about you, it's about them. And the people that have gratitude are the people that are gonna always have gratitude on the way up and on the way down. And right now, a lot of people are on the way down, and they're still gonna have gratitude, and they've never lost their gratitude. And we all have, those are the winners. Those are the winners, and those are the people who I surround myself in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Not my physical neighborhood, my neighborhood of people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And I want to live in a good neighborhood of phenomenal people, and that's my goal, is to live in a neighborhood of phenomenal people.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So let's hit on that then, because I think that's crucial in a time like today. I just wrote it down. The people that have gratitude will always have gratitude, both on the way up and the way down. How have you seen surrounding yourself in your neighborhood? I love that you say that. How has that affected you in your life? I mean, it sounds like you surround yourself with high-level people that think similarly, at least in terms of mindset, as you do. And how would you encourage the people listening right now in that, in the aspect of the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people.
Everything's a choice.
Yeah.
Everything's a choice. We can decide if we're going to have a good day or a bad day.
Yep.
It's up to you to make that decision. And hey, look, I'm guilty of it in days. I find myself, whoa, where am I going here?
Yeah.
But if some people follow me on social media, I'll get up and do a Facebook Live and say, simply like, the day's going to be good when the first sip of your coffee is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm using the word phenomenal again, right?
Yeah.
And I actually said that this week, and I actually meant it. It's like, wow, if you're going to have a good cup of coffee, the day's going to be good.
Totally.
Right? And that mindset of those words will set myself up to having a good day.
Yeah.
And I choose to do that.
Yeah. Wow.
And people need to choose the right decisions.
Yep.
As small or as big as they may be.
Yep.
As simple as having a morning coffee with you.
Yep.
Is it a good cup of coffee? That's a big win, and that's on my win list.
Yeah, I love that. So, and I've asked this to a few people that I've interviewed, and I love hitting on this because, I agree with you, Scott. I agree that it's a choice, right? And everything's a choice. Our mindset's a choice. Being grateful is a choice. How we respond to people is a choice. I've also talked to people out there who feel as though maybe it's not a choice. And I want to encourage those people. And so what's your encouragement to the person right now who's struggling, maybe is starting to believe that it's a choice, but is really struggling with being able to choose the right mindset? How would you encourage them in this season?
Surround yourself with put yourself in the right neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
And you'll find yourself, you may not know it, but you may, we're in a time where you may have, I hate to say it, but you may have had friends in the past, and you may need to look for new friends.
Yeah.
And they may be friends and they could be friends, but maybe you're spending the wrong time with the wrong people.
Yep.
And you want to look to the right and look to the left and figure out who you're spending your time with.
Yeah.
That can set yourself up, and it'll change everything. And, for me, sometimes I call it Scott time. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I need to think about my thinking, right?
Yeah.
And I need to put my Bose headphone sets on, sound noise cancellation, and put the right music on.
Yeah.
That will get me in the mindset to just eliminate all the distractions and focus on perhaps writing. Because I can't just sit down and write, but sometimes I can sit down and if I focus on the right mindset and where I'm at and set up my environment, I can be good at it.
Yeah.
And that's like everything else. You have to set your environment up in order to be successful.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and I think in a time like now is crucial in an opportunity for us as we are being asked to, stay home and be distant in terms of being physically distant from people, to actually take this time and use it wisely. As you said before, not just sit in front of the TV and watch Netflix, but begin to dream about that vivid vision and take. I love that. Think about your thinking and really evaluate your thoughts. I love that. So I'm looking at your book right now, Camera Focus, What Photography Teaches Us About Business, Life, and Success. And I'm just really inspired by your message of focus. I'm very inspired, and we'll link a way for people to purchase this book through this video. Before we let you go, Scott, just with you, you are a business owner. You have overseen numerous teams of people, and you're an author, a coach, and a speaker. What can you leave the listeners with that would really just encourage us in this idea of focus and mindset, especially, again, I'll go back to it, during a time of COVID-19 when life looks differently and may continue to look differently?
Yeah, and it will.
Yeah.
It's going back to basics, and for me is keeping track of your wins.
Okay. Yeah.
And every day I get to talk about in my book, my 3 wins. And I learned that through my coaching programs over the years as strategic coach and other people, that it's muscle memory to me, where I write down my 3 wins.
Yeah, I love that.
And I actually ask, I love asking kids, questions like that. And I'll say to kids, what's the 3 wins for the day? And they're like, what? And like, what's your win? What you do today in school? And I find that I engage with them and make them think about it, and they'll actually come up with 3 things that they never thought about.
Yeah.
And kids or adults, it doesn't matter. When you ask somebody, what's your 3 wins for the day? It changes the whole mindset. And I have a journal that I keep track of my 3 wins of the day. And it's so embedded that people that know me will say, that's going to be on the win list.
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome.
So the message is physically write down your 3 wins for the list, 3 wins of the day. Mm-hmm. And no matter how small or how big, it doesn't matter. Yeah. There's wins in the day, and write down your 3 wins of the day.
Yeah.
And after 30 days, you're going to see like an amazing amount of wins that you've had in 30 days that you never knew you had. And that alone will inspire you for the next 30 days.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And, I'd have to believe, that's something I'm going to start doing right now. I mean, you've already inspired me. I'm going to start a win journal, because I think that's going to help me personally with being grateful. And, your message of focus. I mean, talk about a way to really get focus on what matters, is to actually begin to write down and keep track of the things that, are wins, and not allow kind of what's going on around us to really take us down. So,
right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Well, Scott, this has been amazing. I'm really inspired by you. I have 3 pages of notes as we've been talking, and a lot of takeaways. And I'm excited to continue, a relationship with you, because you're someone that I know I already want in my neighborhood, and so I really, really appreciate you joining us on the Morning Mindset. And I believe that all the listeners, I have to believe they have just as many pages of notes as I do, because this was amazing to hear from you. So thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for helping me share the message for everybody else to stay focused.
Absolutely. And we'll put a link here for people to get their hands on your book, and we'll also put your social media handles on there, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to want to continue to be inspired by you. So again, Scott, thanks so much for joining us, and you go have a phenomenal day.
There we go. Love it.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you.